Stop scrolling. If you feel the invisible walls blocking your progress, I created the marked command just for you. It is the 30-day protocol to dismantle generational curses and command your territory. Get your copy in the description below. Here's the video for today. You are not part of the conversation that is going on right now. There's something going on in a text thread you'll never see, a living room you weren't invited to, and a phone call that began with your name and turned into something that would really stop you in your tracks if you could hear it. It's not just the fact that people are talking that makes it so important. People have ever talked. The specifics of what is being said are what make it important. Maybe some of the things people are saying about you behind your back are darker than you think, more planned out, and less random than a casual conversation between two people who know each other. Some of it, the parts you wouldn't expect, is better than what you thought about how people feel about you. Because I think you've only had a vague idea of what people say about you when you're not there. I want to talk about both sides of that today. And the blurry picture is changing how you act, what choices you make, how you understand other people's actions, and how honestly you can accept God's favor and grace right now. You need to see the whole picture. They don't want to make you paranoid or cocky, they want to make you clear. To give you the kind of stable, grounded clarity that lets you go through life without being thrown off by the noise of other people's opinions. The harder part should come first, because I believe in laying the hard truth on the table before the encouraging one. This isn't because the harder truth is more important, but because if I start with the encouraging part, and then come back to the hard truth later, some of you will spend the whole encouraging part waiting for the other shoe to drop. Now, let's talk about the shoe itself. Some people in your life, some of whom you still talk to often, and who you consider friends or at least friendly, are saying false things about you behind your back. These people could be in your family, at work, or in your faith community. Not only are they guessing, but they are also giving their honest opinions. For their story, they are building a version of you that is just right for them. They are taking real things from your life, like real moments, real words, real choices, and real times when you were weak, struggling, or just being human. And they're putting those real things in a new way that fits the story they need to tell about you to defend their place in the situation. This works so well because the best lies are always wrapped in a layer of truth. This is why people who hear these things don't fight them too much. It's not completely made up. It's not straight. The event took place. It was said. The choice was made, but there is no background information. The whole story is missing. A lot of the details about who you are, what you were going through, and what motivated them to say what they did have been purposely left out, leaving only the piece that supports the conclusion they were already working toward before they spoke. What they say depends on who is talking and what their problem is with you. But there are patterns. Naming the patterns is important because it helps you understand what is being done, which means you will be less likely to be upset when it comes up, which it will, because it always does. The story of instability is one pattern. They call your passion volatility. People who agree with you call it rigidity. They use the times when you were really hurt and told them how you felt as proof that they can't trust you to keep it together. Their goal is for the people around you to think of you as unpredictable, not smart, and quick to react emotionally instead of thinking clearly. If they can get people to believe that, then nothing you say will ever need to be taken seriously on its own. Before the message gets to the right person, the messenger will have lost credibility. The story of pride is another pattern. People see your progress and think you're cocky. They think that the healthy limits you have set are proof that you are better than everyone else. They see the fact that you don't make yourself available to everyone at all times for all needs and call it coldness, superiority, or some other sign that you have changed in a way that makes you less humble instead of more whole. This particular story works especially well against chosen ones, because chosen ones usually have a genuine humility that makes them easy to accuse of pride. You look at yourself too quickly. There are people who are making this story about you who know that you are quick to think about whether what is being said about you is true. They are counting on you to look at yourself. They want you to take the accusation personally and see it as a question about you, instead of seeing it as a way for them to show how insecure they are. The third pattern is the story of not being grateful or loyal. This is the one that makes grief the most difficult to deal with. They tell people that you stopped caring about loyalty, connections, or the people who were there for you before things got better, even after all the work they put into the relationship. In their minds, they are the ones who gave, and you are the one who took and moved on. They leave out the parts of the story where the giving was conditional, dishonest, or based on expectations that were never made clear, but were always held. They don't talk about how they pulled away from you when things were hardest. They don't talk about how the relationship was always more about what you could do for them than about investing in each other. That version makes them look like a true friend, while the other version makes you look like you don't know how to honor the people who love them. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community, through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site, you are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give, and it will be given to you, is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose, join the conversation, and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today, join our community, and see what God brings back into your life. I'd like to take a moment to talk directly to the part of you that felt a wave of something bad when you read all of that. You may be nodding because you can relate to these patterns, and you may be feeling the familiar urge to question your own actions and think that the people who are saying these things might be right. This can lead to the question of whether you are really the problem in ways that you can't see. I want to be very clear about that pull. Just because you're willing to look at yourself doesn't mean that the accusations are true. There is proof that you are a truly honest person. People who have no morals don't feel the pain of being accused. They get rid of them right away and move on. There is no doubt that the picture being painted of you does not accurately reflect who you are, because it bothers you so much that you are willing to look into your own heart in response to it. Because the person being talked about in those conversations doesn't look at themselves. That makes a difference, and it's important. I'm going to read from the Bible now, because what you are going through is not new. And the people who came before you, who had a divine calling on their lives, went through the same thing over and over again. This should comfort you and give you strength. I want to talk about Nehemiah, because his story is one of the best examples of what happens when someone is chosen to do important work. And the people who feel threatened by that work use the technique of making up a story. Nehemiah was putting up the walls of Jerusalem again. The city was open to the elements, the people were ashamed, and the walls were falling apart. But God told Nehemiah to go and rebuild. And for a season, the work moved forward at a speed that showed the divine command behind it. But then Tobiah and Sanballat saw. And what they saw wasn't how the building project was going. What they saw was that the progress was a threat to their position and their sense of control over the land that the rebuilt walls would take back, and their quick, thought-out response to that threat is something that anyone who has ever been threatened by people who don't want your work to succeed can relate to. They made fun of first. They stood outside the walls and asked, "What are these weak Jews doing? Will they rebuild the wall? Will they make sacrifices? Will they finish in a day? Can they bring the stones back to life from those piles of burned rubble?" Sanballat's friend added, "Even a fox would break down their wall of stones." The jokes were meant to get a certain result. It was meant to make the workers doubt that what they were building would work, so that when they looked at the rubble they were working with, they would only see rubble and not the base of something important. To make them feel stupid for thinking they could do what they were trying to do. They got worse when the mocking didn't stop the work. They met behind closed doors. They made plans. They wrote the king letters full of lies, saying that Nehemiah was planning a rebellion, that his real goal wasn't restoration, but uprising, and that the wall that was being built wasn't to protect the people, but to get ready for a power grab. These people took the real, God-ordained work that was doing great things for the community, and put it in a story that was meant to make it look scary, dangerous, and self-serving. They told everyone who could possibly stop them about that story. Do you know what that is? People in rooms you're not in are talking about the work you're doing, the life you're building, and the calling you're walking in a way that is meant to make it look like something it's not. People are calling the growth ambition in a bad way. A lot of people are calling the favor manipulation. People who set limits are called selfish. Some people want to stop the real work of someone who has been given a task and is faithfully carrying it out by calling it something dangerous. This is because the work's success is a reflection of the choices those people have made. But here is what Nehemiah did. This is the part I need you to understand, because it determines what will happen. He said a prayer. He first took the charge to God before he took it anywhere else. He said, "Listen to us, our God, because we are looked down upon. Shame them on their own heads." And he kept going. He didn't set up a meeting to talk about the rumors. He didn't write a long response to the letters that were being sent to the king. He did not spend his days keeping track of what Sanballat and Tobiah said, and who they said it to. He set the timer. They were armed by him. He made sure that his people were ready to work and defend, and he kept building. There wasn't a better story told in response to the false one. It was a fully built wall. The completed work proved beyond a reasonable doubt that those who said it couldn't be done, or shouldn't be done, were wrong. Everything that is being said about you in rooms you can't get into will be cancelled out by your finished work. Not the perfectly worded post that talks about the accusations without saying anything about them. Not the smart moves that will help you tell your story to the right people before they form their own opinion. The wall, the finished work that stands as proof of what God is doing in and through your life. That, not arguing, is what stops the Sanballats. Some proof. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our Ko-Fi community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history, it is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. I want to talk about the other side of this now. I told you at the start that what people are saying about you behind your back has two sides, and I want to fully honor that. This is the side you probably didn't expect me to talk about, because I wouldn't be giving you the full picture if I only told you about the bad things some people are saying. That would make you more guarded, defensive, and suspicious of the world around you than God wants you to be. That's not the picture I came to paint. Some people are talking about you behind your back, and if you could hear what they're saying, it would really move you. There are people in your life who have seen you through the hardest times, and privately been amazed by what they saw. They haven't told you straight out. Some of them don't know how to talk about relationships in that way. When it comes to some of them, they're not in a relationship with you, where being that direct would feel natural or right. During a hard time, some of them saw something in you that they have never been able to put into words. Rather than say something that doesn't do justice to what they saw, they carry it with them quietly. They do talk about it though. Not in the mysterious, plot-filled way that people who make up stories do. Like someone who has seen something real and can't stop thinking about it. They're talking about how strong you are. About how you got through something that should have broken you, and came out stronger than before. A quality about you that they notice every time they're in the same room with you, is what they mean. Based on the words they use for these kinds of things, they might call it peace, grounding, or light. However, something that they know is unique and not made up. These people are talking about how you loved people who didn't love you back, and how you eventually set up the distance you needed to protect yourself without becoming angry or closed off, and without letting what was done to you change what you can offer. What your life, specifically your life, has meant to them will be talked about. They still think about the talk you had with them 3 years ago. What you did to be there for them when most people would have had a good reason not to. They wrote down what you said, because they knew they would need it again. A big part of the reason you don't know about most of these conversations is that people aren't always good at telling the person they're grateful for directly. There are times when it's easier for us to talk about someone than to talk to them. But the conversations are real and are about you. I want to show you something that the Apostle Paul wrote, because I think it changes the whole idea of what other people say about you and how much weight you give it. In his letter to the Corinthians, Paul says that he doesn't really care if they or any other court judges him. He really does not judge himself, he says. Even though he doesn't do anything wrong, that doesn't mean he is innocent. The Lord judges him, and then he says something very interesting. So, he says, don't judge anything before the time is right. Do not move until the Lord comes. What is hidden in darkness will come to light, and the intentions of the heart will be shown. That's when God will give praise to each person. God alone will praise each person, not their community, not the people who saw them on their journey, and not the people who were in the room during the hardest parts. From God and what God says about you, what God has already written about you in the heavenly record of your life cannot be changed by the people who meet behind closed doors to make up a story that makes them feel better. It's not affected by the thread you'll never see, or the conversation that began with your name and turned into something meant to make you look bad. That record being written in those rooms is not the important one. Someone who sees every room, even the ones you can't get to, is writing it. This person has the final say on every decision that has ever been made about the value, purpose, and significance of your life. The dark conversations don't say what that record says about you. Because of that record, you were known before you were formed. You were set apart before you were born. And the calling on your life doesn't depend on whether the right people acknowledge it, or whether the story being told about you allows it. The favor that is following you can't be taken away by a meeting that wasn't your knowledge, a letter sent to the wrong people, or a story told with just enough truth in it for someone who didn't know any better to believe it. It says chosen on the record. It's written on. It says the same God saw Hagar in the wilderness, when no one else knew where she was, saw Elijah under the juniper tree when the prophet was so tired he asked to die, and saw the woman who had been bent over for 18 years, but no one had noticed. That same God sees you. In particular, the parts of your story that the dark conversations are trying to change, along with the full context that the constructed narratives purposely leave out, as well as the version of you that exists when no one is watching, when there is no audience, and God is the only one who can see who you are, what you are choosing, and how you are handling what you have been given. He doesn't have any doubts about what he sees. He doesn't believe what is being said. He doesn't have to know about the version that's going around in the rooms you can't get into. He was there. He has always been there for you. And the fact that the right people are saying the right things about you doesn't change the fact that he is working for you. He is taking care of the things that worry you. He is getting the people who will be meeting you ready. He is putting you in the places where your calling calls you to be. Even though conversations are going on, stories are being made, and meetings are happening, he is doing all of this without being affected by any of it. Since he already had plans for you, before any of those people came into the picture, they will be carried out long after the conversations they are having are forgotten by everyone, even the people who are having them. Now, this is what I want to leave with you. You can't control what people say about you, in rooms you can't get into. Stop wasting time trying to follow the story, refute the accusations, get your side of the story to the right people, or defend yourself against stories that are designed to make it impossible for you to win. Send that power to the wall. Put it to work. Respond to the call. Give it to relationships that are real, that work both ways, and that can hold what you bring to them. No matter what other people say about you, give it to your time alone with God. That's where you'll get the real instructions for your next season. Then have faith. Trust that God, who sees everything, is making something out of it all. He sees the bad conversations, the good ones, and everything in between. Trust that the story that is being told about you will clash with the facts of your life in a way that you don't have to plan. Trust that the finished wall will say more than any argument you could have given. Believe what people are saying about you in the courts of heaven is the only verdict that will ever matter in your case, and believe that the judge who saw everything has already ruled in your favor. These judges have never changed their minds about you. If you got this message today, drop the word that was talked about in the comments. Give this to someone who is carrying the weight of what they think other people are saying about them, and needs to be reminded of whose voice really matters. This community is for people who are learning to let God fight the battles that happen in rooms they can't get into. So subscribe and stay in touch. The sound of your name being said in heaven is so soft and clear that it drowns out all the other names being called for you. Use that today. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary, where we discuss the Word daily, and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry when Jesus says give, and heaven will open over you. On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall, share your heart, and as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit Out Community now, join the family, and see your heavens open. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected, faith-filled community at the link in the description, and pinned comment, a place where divine abundance is not just a hope, but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary, where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.